From Beijing to Buenos Aires, a quiet transformation is reshaping the global balance of power. It's not a military march or a political speech. It's trade, technology, and influence. China is rewriting the rules of engagement in Latin America, and the rest of the world is watching. This is China's new playbook, a strategy built not on ideology, but on infrastructure, investment, and innovation. In ports, power plants, and policy circles, Beijing is becoming a key partner and sometimes a rival in the Western Hemisphere. It began quietly, a bridge here, a highway there. But over the past decade, China's footprint in Latin America has expanded dramatically. Trade between China and the region has surged from just $12 billion in 2000 to over $480 billion today. Through its Belt and Road Initiative, China has positioned itself as one of Latin America's largest lenders and investors, focusing on infrastructure, energy, mining, and, increasingly, digital technology. In Brazil, Chinese companies now control key power grids and logistics networks. In Argentina, they've funded dams, railways, and even space observation stations. Across the continent, the red flag of commerce is flying higher than ever before. Beijing's playbook in Latin America combines economic muscle with soft power diplomacy. The tools are simple: loans, technology, and partnership agreements, but the impact is profound. 1. Infrastructure investments. China's state-owned enterprises have become major builders in the region. From ports in Brazil's northeast to highways through Peru and energy grids in Chile, China offers what many Western partners hesitate to provide: speed, scale, and fewer conditions. 2. Technology and digital expansion. Beyond concrete and steel, China's digital giants are laying down the invisible highways of the future. Companies like Huawei and ZTE have become major suppliers of 5G networks and cloud computing services, providing cheaper alternatives to Western tech. 3. Financial diplomacy. China's policy banks, the China Development Bank and Export-Import Bank of China, have lent over $140 billion to Latin America since 2005, often funding large-scale energy and transport projects. But it's not just about economics. Every new port, rail, or satellite dish also brings deeper political relationships and subtle leverage over future decisions. For over a century, Latin America has been considered the backyard of the United States, an area of economic and strategic dominance. But that assumption is fading fast. Washington and Brussels are growing uneasy. China's rise in Latin America represents not just trade, but influence. Influence that challenges Western interests from Washington to Westminster. For the United States, this is about security and strategic alignment. For the European Union, it's about losing access to vital resources and markets. And for Latin American governments, it's about options. Finally, having more than one powerful partner to turn to. China doesn't demand political alignment in exchange for cooperation, and that appeals to many governments tired of Western conditions tied to aid or trade. It's business on Beijing's terms. Infrastructure first, questions later. Let's look at 3 striking examples of how China's engagement is reshaping the continent. Brazil, ports and power. China's State Grid Corporation now controls a major share of Brazil's energy distribution. At the same time, Chinese-built ports and logistics hubs are strengthening export links, particularly for soybeans, oil, and iron ore. Brazil's relationship with Beijing is now as vital as its historic ties to the U.S.-Argentina, railways and space cooperation. In Argentina, Chinese funding revived dormant railway networks and financed the Kirchner and Sapernik hydroelectric dams in Patagonia. More strategically, China built a deep space tracking station in Neuquén province, officially for scientific use, but raising eyebrows in Washington. Chile and Peru, the mining connection. China is the top buyer of copper, lithium, and rare earth minerals, critical components for global tech manufacturing. Latin America's resource wealth feeds China's tech ambitions, creating a new cycle of interdependence and vulnerability. The next frontier of influence isn't physical, it's digital. China's Digital Silk Road Initiative is quietly expanding across Latin America, connecting data networks, smart cities, and e-commerce platforms. Huawei and Alibaba are partnering with local governments to develop cloud computing hubs, surveillance systems, and e-payment networks. For many Latin nations, this partnership means affordable access to modern technology. But critics warn it also brings data dependency, a new form of digital influence. This technological push places Beijing not only in control of physical assets, but also in the flow of information and innovation shaping Latin America's digital future. China's rise in Latin America is strategic, sophisticated, and unstoppable, at least for now. It's a reminder that influence today is built not through military bases, but through fiber optic cables, ports, and policy loans. And while the US and Europe debate, China builds. Latin America's challenge and opportunity is to ensure these partnerships serve its people, not just foreign interests. The world is watching how the region balances growth with independence in the face of competing global powers. Dive into the Nexus Insight blog for comprehensive articles. Subscribe today and stay informed with independent, research-based reporting.